Hello, my name is Trish Chinzara, and I'm going to be giving a quick poster discussion on the relationship between alexithymia and emotional expressiveness. So alexithymia is a personality construct characterized by difficulties in labeling, identifying, and describing emotions beyond just bodily sensations of emotional feelings. And research suggests that alexithymia is associated with a reduction in verbal expression of emotions, but there is limited exploration on what aspects of language are impacted. The aim of this experiment was to examine the relationship between alexithymia and language broadly to further this idea of the alexithymia language hypothesis, which suggests that language difficulties may exacerbate alexithymic traits. We also looked to analyze valence effects and automatic affect labeling in alexithymia, as previous results have found mixed findings. We also wanted to explore the extent to which alexithymia impacts access to diverse emotional vocabulary and sporadic word production to extend research beyond examining the absolute and relative frequency of emotion words. So in this experiment, we had our participants complete a natural language task in which they had to answer 3 questions. Our control condition simply asked participants to discuss their typical morning routine, and then we asked them to describe 1 negative and also 1 positive event that happened to them in the last 6 months. And these responses were recorded and transcribed. We then extracted relevant language variables from them. From this experiment, we did 2 forms of analysis. The first one was a correlation analysis to examine the relationships with our language variables, our CCSR scores, and our TAS scores. And then an exploratory analysis was done, which took a look at our 8 highest scoring alexithymic participants and 8 of our lowest scoring alexithymic participants as well, to explore if perhaps there may be differences when we're looking at alexithymia at a more extreme end rather than looking at it at a continuum level. So we found that our correlation analysis had a strong relationship for both TAS20 and CCSR scores, and also in our exploratory analysis, individuals with high alexithymia had poor self-reported language and communication abilities. And this suggested to us that the relationship between alexithymia and language was non-independent, and it seemed to suggest that the higher your alexithymic traits were, the poorer your language and communication abilities were as well, which are in line with the alexithymia language hypothesis. We also found that the relationship between alexithymia and our non-emotion words had a weak but significant association. And this was, although non-significant, a large effect for our group comparisons, suggesting there seems to be some sort of evidence of a general deficit above and beyond emotion-related language. When we start to look at emotion-related language specifically, there do seem to be some influences of alexithymia on emotional expression. So when we look at the diversity, which was our measure of the variation of different emotion words used by participants, we found that there was no association for the variation of positive words, but there was for the negative words for our correlation analysis. And when we look at group differences, there were non-significant differences again for positive words, but for negative words, there was a very large difference observed. And this seems to suggest that high alexithymic individuals seem to be using less diverse negative words. And this is in line with some research which has explored the influence of negative affect bias in alexithymic individuals. We also looked at the valence of emotional expressions, and we found that there were some valence effects for negative affect words in particular when we looked at the absolute frequency of positive and negative words. But this did not hold when we looked at the relative frequency of emotion words produced by participants. So to conclude, the results seem to suggest that alexithymia may be associated with a more broad language deficit beyond emotion language, but further research needs to be explored. We also think that alexithymia may be impacting this access to diverse emotional vocabulary, meaning that individuals are able to appraise their emotions at a broader level, but struggle to make more specific appraisals. And this aspect of emotional expression may be dependent on valence effects, in particular, the processing of negative emotions. If you have any questions or wish to discuss my research with me, I've also included my contact details. Thank you so much for listening.